I knew he would wait till the end because he felt like that was his best chance for him to win and not ruin the race for both of us. That's what I would have done. But when he started to try to put things together, the guys behind him wanted to pass him instead of push him. And when I saw that, I felt like things were looking better. Just had a little more racetrack to get around, and finally we come off of 4 and got to travel, and they didn't have anything going on. So I felt like we was going to be okay if the motor didn't break. Something in my head told me, though, about 200 yards before the finish line, the motor was going to break, and they was just going to go blowing by me. But because that's what happens in racing, ain't it? Just seems like that's what happens sometimes. But we got to the end.
All right. We'll go ahead and take questions for Dale. If you have one, please state your name and affiliation, and we'll start with Jerry.
Dale Jr., to your left, Jerry Jordan kicking the tires. Last year, you said you weren't going to wait in the back. You wanted to get out front. Did that play into your strategy today, leading the most laps out here?
Yeah, last year, I think it was last year when at the end of the race, I waited in the back expecting a wreck. And I just was really ashamed of that choice and felt like I'd really wasted all my team's time and everybody's hard work. I was just really, really ashamed of that. And so I just, going to run up in there. Even if they wreck and I'm in the middle of it, we're going to be racing for the lead or trying to anyways. And that's my mentality until I don't race anymore.
All right.
I certainly hope that it was a little bit me, but I know there's a lot of race car. I appreciate that. It's a hell of a compliment coming from a champion like him. The car gives you the confidence, I think, to make the moves that make you look good. But it's the car really making it all happen. So, but you got to know what to do with it, and you got to put it in those situations where it can excel, and it can do the things it's capable of doing. It just don't happen on its own. So I think all drivers out there, you see things that they do, and you learn from them, and you put little things in your pocket that you see happen or something that you do that surprises you, and you just add it all up at the end. Hopefully you got the moves you need to make, and you make the right ones. I've made so many right moves and so many wrong moves, so today we didn't make any bad ones, not too many, I guess. And we had such a fast car, and I was, I don't know what the feedback was on the qualifying session this weekend, but I tell you, going through that system and that format really gives the guys who qualify well so much confidence, because we can't see how good our cars are in raw speed when we're out there drafting in practice or when we're qualifying like we had been in the past in the packs. So when you qualify alone, so to speak, you really get so much confidence when you qualify well. You're like, yeah, we do got a fast car. Look at how much faster we are than these other guys. And the confidence is so important because these races at the plate tracks are so mental. And you got to be confident to make the right choices. And you just build that confidence up throughout the weekend. Go out and practice hard. Try to race hard in practice and do things that give yourself confidence in your car. And then you go out there and qualify well. You just feel, you feel real good and prepared when the race begins.
All right, Jeff, go ahead.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. I know you've talked about your relationship with TJ before and how much that contributes to your success, but he was saying just a little bit ago that the friendship that you guys have had over the years and how often you guys talk during the week and things like that might give you a little bit of a leg up over other spotters who just, see their driver every weekend and don't have that ongoing communication. Does that help you at all? I mean, knowing that, especially a place like this where it really seems to take an extra step up with the driver-spotter relationship?
Yeah. I hate to claim him as a brother, but we're pretty close. He's such a that's exactly what it is. We spend so much time around each other. He's the commissioner in this Xbox One Madden League. And every team is controlled by a human. So we're on this chat messaging app, and we all set up our games together. And he's the commissioner and runs the whole thing. So me and him talk every day about either racing, Madden, or something. He's got a new dog. Madeline's a big fan of mine. His daughter, she brings her by the house to look at the fish in the fish bowl or do whatever and play with Gus or whatever. So we're around each other all the time. And I think that he knows exactly what I'm looking for. I don't have to explain. I don't have to ever say, quit doing it that way, or this is what I want, or stop using that language or that terminology. I don't understand. He doesn't bug me, so I don't get, he doesn't do things that get me irate or get me off my game. He's real. One of the things I've liked about him from the start is he's real monotone. Most great spotters are real even keel no matter what's happening. And the longer we've worked together and the closer we've been as friends, I mean, he knows exactly what I need. And when I'm listening to him, it's like I can see the race happening behind me without even looking in the mirror. That's so helpful. There's a couple times a day he cleared me when I wasn't clear, but he wants me to get clear. He just wants me to get up there in front of those guys, and he thinks that they're gonna check up, and he gets pretty aggressive sometimes, which I like that about him. He's very competitive, and I say it a lot, and I know a lot of drivers have probably said it too, that the spotter's as important as the driver and the crew chief at this place and at Daytona, so he really earned his paycheck this week.
All right, we'll go to Stan and then Dustin.
Hey Dale, Stan Creekmore with RPMtonight.com. So in listening to your opening statement and everything, what was the most intense moment of the race today?
It's so much happens, and you're so focused on what you're doing and wanting to do and about to do. It's like you can't record it. You can't put it in memory. I need to go watch the race to remember how it happened. And there's just some passes that you make when you're not sure if you're clear, and you just make these things on instinct because of this. You went by a car and you're just mentally understanding the speed you passed him when you would clear him, and you just move, and those are hairy because sometimes you might guess wrong and get turned around. But I'll tell you one of the things that's crazy about this track since they repaved it, and it wasn't like this, but somebody paved the front straightaway wrong, and there's like 2 aprons, and so there's a bit of there's progressive banking from the bottom groove into the next 3 grooves. It's just one little ditch, and man, our right rears get hung in that thing, and it yanks the car around and spins you. It gets so loose through there. And when you got a guy up your butt and one on the side of the car, and you got a guy in front, there's no air on your car. The car's just kind of hovering through there, and you're just trying to keep it, from wrecking. And that you don't see it. You can't visually see this watching the cars, man. But they are a handful coming through the Tri-Oval because of that little imperfection in the track. And I'd love to get in front of the guy who paved this place just to talk to him a little bit about it. They did an amazing job aside from that small little mistake, because I don't believe that was intentional, and it wasn't like that before. But it's interesting for sure. And when we're leading, sometimes we run a lane up through the Tri-Oval. That's just to stay out of that ditch, because it steers the car. It's like a rut that grabs the back of the car and takes it wherever it goes. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, man.
All right, Dustin, go ahead.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports, straight ahead. I have 2 questions for
Sure.
you. First question is, in the last 10 plus years, I mean, the concussion, what you talked about being ashamed of the race here, and how many times you've been fast and things didn't happen for whatever reason. How frustrating had this track become, or how did it impact you, especially when you talk about the emotion of wanting to do well, especially at a place like this because of your dad, to continue that legacy?
Yeah, the disappointment. I leave here more disappointed than I do other tracks when we don't win the race. I try not to get satisfied with just leading a lot of laps, because I feel like the fans want to see us up front. They love to see us win the race, but they want to see us lead every lap. They get excited when we take the lead, and they're happy when we're up front, and they want us up front every lap. I feel that. And, so you'll get up there and get the lead, and you're delivering upon the promise, and that you're going to run hard and run good, and you just can't get satisfied, because you gotta, like I say, you're slowly emptying that tank, that mental tank, and you gotta hope there's enough at the end to be able to do everything you need to do. to you know, make the win happen, you know, because it just it takes a lot. It's tough. I think it gets tougher the older I get, but and the cars are so hard to, you know, the cars are such a challenge now to draft with than they used to be. Man, we had so much power, and we just driving around guys in the DEI days. Now the cars are stuck together, and everybody's all over top of each other. It's real hard to get away from people. But I, you know, I felt bad that we would wreck or not run well, or, you know, and choosing to lay back, thinking that was the right thing to do in several events here, and not knowing what was, you know, coming here and not knowing what the right thing to do was after winning 5 races and having so much success, to come here and not know what the hell to do. I mean, that felt so foreign because we've been so confident for so many years. So I got my confidence back now. I know what I need to do, and that's run hard. Not lay back and not worry about you know, crashing out or bad points, or you know, I'd rather crash and not finish well trying than to be riding around the back. And certainly a hard lesson to learn, but I learned it.
And my second question is, the last time you were in victory lane here in the Cup, you said a bad word, got you that penalty. So did you cuss in victory lane today?
I did. I think it's okay this time though, because the year, you know, it's a different time. So I cussed earlier this year, and there was no big deal. But I was talking to the guys, so I wasn't saying it to the camera, but the camera was right there. I let one slip. But fortunately, times have changed a little bit, and FCC's not on anybody's case anymore, and we don't have to worry about it. But, you know, it was a points aren't, even if they did take a few points away, we still locked in a chase. So I'm not too worried about it, I guess. I knew when I said it, I was like, man, it's just something about this place. Just brings it out. But, yeah.
All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We're going to go to Jay, and then we're going to go upstairs, and we'll come back downstairs. Jay, go ahead.
Jay Pennell with Fox Sports. Greg was in here a minute ago and was talking about his daughter breaking her arm and you offering to fly him back to North Carolina. Just talk about that a little bit and what it was like to have him on the pit box today.
Well, I certainly felt like, not being a father, I felt like that maybe I wanted to give him that opportunity to choose to go home instead of feeling like an obligation to be here. So I didn't know, not being a father, whether he wanted to be at home, because this race is a little less challenging to call than other events. We're going to take 2 tires pretty much every time. We're going to get as much gas as we need, but never fill it up, and just there, you know, it's pretty self-explanatory. So I felt like Kevin Meandering could have called the race just as easy and just as well. Kevin's a real talent, just waiting to bust out and get an opportunity to crew chief. And so I felt like if there was ever a weekend that Greg could comfortably go home without any guilt, he could have done it last night without a problem. We'd have fueled up a plane and sent him. The brake was real low right near the elbow, and it just looked scary because that's, you know, there's not a lot of bone above the elbow to really do any pins and do some, you know, work with. I just felt like that's a difficult area to break a bone. But he says she's tough as nails. She didn't even cry or anything, and she told him not to come home. She was mad at him last week for the car we took to Richmond. I'm sure he told you all about it, but he knew. Like after the Richmond race, I went into the holler and I'm like, man, why are you so down? I mean, yeah, it wasn't a great day, but we got to stay positive. These guys get real affected by our moods. We can't stomp and kick or pout. We got to, you know, tell these people out here loading this car that we're going to show up next week, and he's worried about what she was going to tell him when he got home because she's been real hard on him. So, but that's probably good. She keeps him honest.
All right, we'll go upstairs for a question.
Brent James, USA Today Sports. The slip of the tongue notwithstanding, the emotions in victory lane seemed a lot different today than the last time you won here, more introspective today instead of, you know, that super giddy guy the last time you won here. How much different are those 2 versions of you from the last time you won here?
Most wins, you sort of pop like a bottle of champagne, and it just everything pours out. It's really fast, you know, and it's just really, you're super happy. this win had a lot of responsibility behind it with Greg being the new crew chief. We got a lot of new guys on the over the wall and a lot of new guys in the garage. A lot of changes, brand new sponsor, a lot of pressure there, trying to get them guys to victory lane. My dad's birthday, just a lot of things really happening at once when we crossed the finish line. Like I said, the pressure of trying to get into the chase and knowing we're locked in, such a relief. And just winning, you know, you just want to win, and you want to win as often as possible. So this was really emotional. I don't really get too emotional about wins. I get excited and super happy about them, but this one was certainly different. And just being at Talladega, love this racetrack and the history here.
All right, we'll stay upstairs for one more question.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. Congratulations, Dale. First of all, what is Greg's daughter's name?
That's a good question.
Her name is Peyton.
Peyton. There you go.
Super.
Peyton Manning. I'll never forget it.
They want to know how you spell it. So that's from up here, too. They want to know how we spell it.
Association, man. I got it.
Yeah, you're spot on, bud.
You spell it with an A.
Thank you. Were you surprised by the single file, how much of the race was single file? And I've got one more question after you answer that.
No, not really. I mean, we see that here at times. I was actually surprised at how much racing we were doing, and I figured it would be single file more than it was. But there were just some, there's a lot of guys that were feisty and ready to move up and trying to get the lead and trying to get to the front. And it seemed like between the 48 and myself and the 24, we were doing a great job of maintaining the front. So, I think there's a lot of competition between the manufacturers, but also more so the owners and the individual companies. And that was showing more than I've seen it in the past, I think. So I was surprised, about how much racing there was going on. But I was enjoying the racing. But I was definitely happy when we went single file that last 20 laps because I knew I only had to worry about one lap, and that was the last one. And as it wound down, I felt more and more comfortable that was the case. And those guys up in the top 5, top 6. Felt like even on the last lap with a move that they felt like they were in position that they could win the race, and that's why everybody stayed so patient.
And finally, your fans have been pretty vocal about Jimmie Johnson owing you one here, or at least, owing you something here for as many times as you have pushed him to the win.
Yeah. You
kind of feel like the debt was paid today?
Well, I don't think that we owe each other anything other than to treat each other like men and professionals. And I will say that, and I think a lot of people in here know this, but maybe not everybody out there in the world knows that Jimmy's a better person than he is a teammate. I mean, he's a great teammate, but an amazing guy and great family man, great friend. We've been friends for a really long time before we ever worked together. And, I feel fortunate to be able to work with someone who makes my work easier. He does. He makes my job easier, and he's an easy guy to work with, and I think all the other guys in the shop feel that way. So, and he's he's won and been so successful, but he's really remained a grounded, approachable, easygoing individual. So I really think that's remarkable, and I appreciate that about him. So, I don't know how many times I've actually pushed him to a win. My fans maybe feel like it's 3 or 4 times, but I think it was only really once. But they are very critical of Jimmy, and I've sensed that and read that as well. But he takes it in stride. He's really he does really well with that criticism. So I think I'm fortunate to be his teammate because I've certainly become a better driver being around him and learning from him. You got to be open-minded to everything around you, and he's certainly helped me improve.
All right, we'll come downstairs to Jenna.
Jennifer AP. Brant sort of asked this from upstairs, the emotion in victory lane. What struck me is one of the things you said about how good your personal life is and you don't feel like you deserve it. I guess what bad things have you been doing that you don't think you deserve it? But
Yeah.
no, it sounds like you're really introspective of that and you've given it thought. Why are things so good for you and Why are you enjoying life so much?
Yeah, I think the part I don't feel like I deserve is the racing side of it, because there's just not many second chances. And I feel like that if my name wasn't Earnhardt, that I wouldn't have had the second chance. I feel like I got to owe my second chance to my dad, his legacy, because the way I ran from '09 through those years to 2011 or so, I feel like that I didn't deserve to be kept around or hung on to. But I'm glad, that it worked out, and I certainly felt like in the right situation that I could succeed. But you just don't know whether you're going to get that opportunity. And I watched a lot of sons follow a lot of fathers, regardless of the profession, and just have a real challenge of it. So that's the part I feel like I'm fortunate about. I mean, I definitely feel fortunate in my personal life, and Amy and I have gotten so close. It sounded like a great idea at the time, but earlier this week we decided that she would do some home work on the house and stay home. And about 9 o'clock this morning, it was the worst idea. I was miserable that she wasn't here. So it just proves to me how much she means to me and how important she is to me, and how she's been a big help in getting me out of my shell. For years. We were joking about it this week with Daryl Waltrip, that I'd just never come out of the bus all weekend. And when I'd go home, I'd sit on the computer and race online, and my buddies would call me and text me, and we're going here, we're going there, and I just never go. I'll do it next week, or I'll see you guys next time. And I thought I was having fun, but I was really miserable. So, she's made my life a whole lot more enjoyable and showed me how to have fun, and showed me there's a lot more to life. So, and my sister and I are getting along great. My mother and I are getting along great. It's just everything's in the right direction. Everybody's happy. And, I guess that's the way it's supposed to be, but I feel real lucky because that's the case. I know a lot of people aren't as fortunate. So, hopefully it just keeps getting better. Yeah, thanks.
All right, we're going to take our next question from Ryan.
Ryan McGee, ESPN. On Friday, we talked about paralysis by analysis and everybody overthinking things out there. Did you rely on that a little bit? You talked about lulling them to sleep when they got that single file line going, and after the race, everybody was talking, well, I was going to do this, I was going to do that, and they did nothing.
Yeah, I know. I think what happens is, and I would have been the same way if I were in that line behind the leader, third, fourth, fifth, whatever. You get up there and you see guys get, pull out and get shuffled to the back, and you just know that is a real possibility, super real, that could happen. And man, if you get on back there, you don't have a chance. And if you're sitting third, fourth, whatever, you're sitting there thinking, this ain't a bad spot. If I got to wait till the last lap and see what these guys in front of me end up doing, this is probably not a bad place to be. And if you can count on them top 5 or 6 doing that, you're going to have, it's going to come down to the later laps, the last 2 or last lap. And that way, again, like, you only have to deal with one challenge, and that's the first, that's the move that they save up for. Jimmy was talking about, he was thinking he needed to make the move over in 3 and 4, and I'll run all day long to have to fend off one guy off of 3 and 4 instead of 20 of them, So, when they're 3 wide and they're all, each line's coming, and your TJ's telling you how they're coming, and got to get in front of each line and do all that, I mean, it's tough. And that's not how you like to finish them, because you got a chance of finishing either anywhere from first to 20th, and that kind of a pack. And the way we run that race down today, you got a chance of being first to 5th or so. So at worst, fifth place. So that's definitely a lot easier on your mind. But I think, we get up top and we run around there, and everybody's like, man, I don't want to pull out. I could probably go to the back. That's probably what will happen. I'll just wait. I'll wait. Somebody else is going to do something stupid, and I don't want to do it. Somebody else is going to do it, and then I'm going to benefit. And nobody really made the move. I figured Danny would, and he moved down, and he's always pretty proactive. And he moved down, and when he got a run on the 48, instead of pushing him, he tried to get around him, and I was like, perfect. You know, that's not helping Jimmy. And then the 27 got up there, and they were in great position because they were tight through 3 and 4, and I had too big a lead. And I was like, man, if he pushes him, he'll push him. He's going right by me. And the 27 tried to get out on the quarter panel, and Jimmy had to defend. And I'm thinking, perfect. They're not going to get a run at all. So I was pretty surprised that they didn't form up. I mean, there was several chances there in the last 2 laps, and it just didn't happen. It's more luck than anything that it didn't work out that way.
All right, we're going to go to Kelly, Nate, and take our final question from George. So you can get a microphone to Kelly up front, please.
Kelly Crandall with PopularSpeed.com. Dale, you talked in your opening statement, you mentioned how different the drafting is, how the race plays out is different than years ago. Can you just describe what was different today, what you have to do nowadays than when you were winning here in the early 2000s?
Yeah, the cars get different runs. They're slower and they're lazy. The runs we used to get years ago, man, you'd fly by guys and just dominate. The runs that the cars get, even in the great cars that we have, are real lazy, and you really aren't sure whether it's a run you need to take advantage of or not. And I made just thinking back, I made about 3 real power moves, and I probably had about those are the 3 power move opportunities that I had, and maybe 10 years ago you would get 20 of those in a race. The cars just were way more reactive to each other. Another thing about this particular car is they get stuck side by side. The side draft is so powerful that basically, you get on the guy's quarter panel and you start side drafting him to slingshot by him, and he can just counter you by side drafting you, and you just sit there and do this and go nowhere. And the leader's hard to pass, so he just pulls in front of the line that's coming, and that pushes him on out. The line don't continue to come up to the leader and where they can make a move to go around him. They just, if you pull in front, there's such a big, we call it the beach ball. It's giant, and it just shoves the leader out. So you don't get those many opportunities on the run, on runs that are successful to pull out and pass the leader. You end up just kind of shoving him away. And, that's why leading's the place to be. I mean, it was the place to be in the Daytona 500 a year ago. And it's the place to be today, I felt like.
All right, Nate, go ahead.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Following up on those last 2 questions and answers, Dale. In his last victory, your dad went from 18th to 1st in the final 5 laps.
Yeah.
And I think it's fair to say this track's reputation was kind of built on that kind of racing, that kind of finish. Are those days over, and does that make you wistful at all? And should they consider is there any way to get it back to that?
I mean, if we could, we would. If we knew what makes the best package, we would put it on the cars. I know we would. But the sport, the cars evolve. They always have. I mean, we went from big old tanks in the late 70s to the downsized 81 cars, then to Monte Carlos and the big old Thunderbirds, and then, the cars just continue to get smaller, bigger, taller, shorter. The sides get flatter. The quarter panels get longer. The cars are just always changing, and that alters how they draft. And I don't know, and I don't think anyone knows really what affects the side draft. If you asked all the drivers, they would tell you that it's something different. You'd probably get 30, 35, 43 different answers. And 20 of them would sound really good. But, it's just, I think, we did win today, so I'm a little okay with how the cars race today. But sometimes they can be very frustrating. They can be very, very frustrating. But we won a lot of races in the past because we had the best car. We really did. And maybe if I was driving someone else's car back then, I wouldn't have liked it that much then. You know what I'm saying? But we had such great cars, and that's why we won today. And had fun today. My car did everything I wanted it to do. But when it doesn't do those things, and you're sort of stuck without any offense, and you're doing more defense, it's a long day. And you don't like the package, you don't like the draft, you don't like the way the cars react. But it's probably more often than not your own car's fault.
All right, we're going to take our final question from George.
Yeah, Dale over here. George Diaz, Orlando Sentinel. You know, you've talked a lot about your dad today. Do you have, whatever time it might have come in during your life, do you have a particular memory of you and your dad here at Talladega that sticks out in your mind?
I don't know. No, I don't. I'd have to think real hard. We didn't have a lot of success here in the Nationwide Busch cars. We always seem to wreck. But I don't know. You know, I think even in the Cup car we had a lot of trouble the first couple of trips. I think on the first time I raced here, I qualified in 6th or something, and Daddy was up there, Billy Elliott, a couple of the guys, and I got a bad run on the restart and had to hit the brakes, or somebody missed a shift, and I locked up the tire and blew the left front out, and we just had a terrible day. But you know, what I remember about this place that I liked the most, one of my favorite memories were when we would come here. I go to Johnny Ray's house and play on three-wheelers all week. We get $100, me and Scotty Williams and Mike Wickham and Brad Means, and we'd go to the go-kart track and spend $100 every, Friday night, Saturday night, running go-karts. It was a go-kart track by the interstate. And everyone stayed, we was talking about this today when I was being someone, everyone stayed at the hotel. So you get done on Friday and you go back to the hotel, and all the crew chiefs, drivers, all the crewmen, everybody was coming back to the hotel. So you saw everybody at the hotel walking around, and it was just a different time. But I remember talking to Flossie Johnson in the where we had the drivers meeting now. I remember talking to her one time here when I was really young. She stopped me and wanted to talk to me. I didn't know who she was till she told me. So that was pretty cool. We used to, I've told this story several times, but when the race would start, me and my buddies would sit around in the garage and wait for the wrecked cars to come in, because we just like climbing all over those wrecked cars and looking at how badly they were damaged, and just we couldn't imagine the carnage. Was just amazing to us. And people would leave so much stuff laying around, like brand new box of bubble goggles, brand new packages of Champion Spark plugs, or big full bottles of glass cleaner and brake clean, and me and Brad Means would box all that stuff up and take it over to his daddy's truck. They just leave it. When the race started, they'd just be stuff laying everywhere, and we'd get it because it was just going to end up in the trash or somewhere, because the garage would be completely empty during the race. And it was that old overhang garage, it was open. And we didn't really watch the races. We just watched when the crash cars come in. We just walk around those things 40 times looking at every dent. And just being kids, it was so much fun coming here. This was a great racetrack to come to when I was a kid, and you can run around, do pretty much wherever you wanted, do whatever you wanted.
All right. Well, Dale, we appreciate your time this afternoon.
Thank you. I had such a good day. Appreciate it.
Congratulations on becoming the 8th different driver to walk into the chase. So we wish you